Knoll Nation? Welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown with my co-host, as lovely as always, rocking the garnet and gold, Jen Knoll 2013, aka at Jen Santy 1890 on X. How are we doing? Happy Valentine's Eve, Jen.
Well, same to you. Same to you. Same to you. So, how are you?
Hanging in there, man. Feeling pretty good, actually. Got the
Good.
kidney stones well in the review. I
Oh,
think
that's wonderful news.
maybe they will stay put and I don't have to worry about passing that thing for a while. I think I got like super dehydrated. And that's why I was having that friction in there and such the pain. At least that's my prayer. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow it'll take flight. But knock on wood, after a couple of days after those initial issues, I have been in the clear. But I'm not sure what happened to Jen there. She went dark on us. But she was just bragging on her Wi-Fi too. But we've got a lot to talk about. There's all kind of stuff going on between college football, Florida State, the college football playoff, and ESPN just signed a deal for like $7 billion to lock them in for 6 years. Unfortunately, we all thought that we were going to get, to spread this thing out amongst Fox, ABC, NBC. That's what the story had been for a while. But surprise. 6 years, $8 billion, $8 billion, and ESPN and the college football playoff are one and the same moving forward.
Who knew? That doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you at all?
Honestly, I am a little surprised.
Oh.
I'm not it doesn't surprise me, and that I should have seen it coming, but I don't know. I guess I held some hope. I thought it was such a big thing, I thought the Big Ten and Fox were really serious about getting into those rights, but at the end of the day, I guess that's what their ESPN is basically. They're really staking their business model on these college football playoff games. They got it.
I mean, you heard Kirk go kiss the ring at Feinbaum's show. Even after Feinbaum criticized him for his Raiola tampering, he went over there and was just, praising Feinbaum, praising the SEC, praising this, doing that. I only said nice things about Matt Rule. I wasn't tampering. I would never criticize Georgia, Paul. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I'm on my knees begging. Kirk's probably pretty good at that.
Yeah, it was complete BS. He pretty much just ignored everything the dad said and said a completely different story, as if pretty much called the dad a total liar.
A liar, which basically now is calling the family member of coaching staff at Nebraska a liar because his uncle is like an offensive line coach there, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure his exact position, but he's definitely on staff up there.
Yeah. The coaching staff at Nebraska is just liars. That's what they are. That's what I heard Kirk say. That's what I heard him say.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly that connection, but I definitely heard what his dad said. And what his dad said was that Kirk called him and said, you should do it. And then Kirk says, oh no, all I did was say, he asked me about Matt Rule and I said, yeah, I like him. He's a good coach and all this stuff. It's like, no, that's not what he said at all. He said, Kirk called me and said, so yeah. Stop calling somebody a liar.
No, I was just making a joke saying, Kirk basically called the coaching staff of Nebraska liars because the Raiola family's on the staff. So there you go. I mean, that's the rumor I'm starting, and that's the way I'm going to spin it. I'm going to be like a media member, and that's going to be the hook for the story. Nebraska coaching staff filled with liars. That's what I'm going to say. Like if I were MSNBC writing a story, that would be my headline.
Oh, I love it. Mm-hmm. We also saw a headline, and we've been talking about this. I was wondering whether it'd be somewhere in the 10 to 12 range, but literally 12 guys go to the NFL Combine. A huge list of names. I'm going to throw them up on the tracker down there. Pretty extensive list. When you look through it, it's 10 transfers, 2 high school guys, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. If somebody wants to correct me, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. You got Renardo Green and Kalen DeLoach are 2 high school guys. The rest are all transfers. 7 of them were in PFF's top 100, rankings, which take PFF for what it is. Some stuff they do really good. Some stuff they do makes no sense to me personally, but for whatever reason, people seem to act like, up to this 3rd or 4th year, Mike Norvell's just going to fall apart. Like, we're just going to be bereft of talent. But I'm going to do a little math for y'all. When you look at these names going across the bottom of the list and you do the math of how long they were here and what Florida State has done through the transfer portal, the past 3 years, even though people don't want to give us credit for it. The names on this list, I can't remember the guy's name. If I do, I'll put his at in the thing, but a guy on Twitter pointed it out. The average time these guys spent, if you look at all these different guys, 4 years by Jerry and Jones, 4 years by this guy, 3 years by another, 2 by Jared Verse. You've got a few guys like Keon Coleman and Braden Fisk that were only here but 1 year. The average is 3 years. That's how long. So, 3 years, that's the average time these transfers were here. 22, 23. These classes are a bunch of guys that just showed up. They're still here. So even though these guys have left, like, the cap cupboard isn't dry. Like, there's a program established here. They've been doing the same thing for 2-3 years now. So just because this is the first class of guys that left doesn't mean Florida State's going to dry up. It's kind of the same reason that Georgia got left out this year. If everybody was like, oh, well, they lost 11 guys to the draft, how could they possibly, they had 2 in a row, how could they possibly do it again? I'm here to tell you, even though there's 12 guys invited to the NFL Combine, Florida State and Mike Norvell had a plan, and they have a program in place to replace it. The talent is better than ever. Is it going to be easy to replace a Jared Verse, a Fabian Lovett, a Kalen DeLoach, Tatum Bethune, all these guys? No, but they're going to be all right, and they're going to replace it with different guys.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand why anybody would be concerned. I mean, there's a reason to be concerned a couple of years ago, but then guess what? They just brought in other people and it worked out. So why would you just think all of a sudden it's not going to work this time? I mean, it would be great to have multiple 5 stars, waiting in the wings on the bench to say, hey, we're just going to come in and start replacing. But hell, they're going to start not doing that at the big schools either, who have been recruiting all that depth. Because those kids don't get to start and then they leave and they transfer somewhere else. So everybody's going to be on the same plan here soon.
Absolutely. They can only deny it for so long. But when you look at this list, it's pretty amazing, the names on this list. Jordan Travis pretty much, defined the Mike Norvell area. He was his first quarterback to settle in. Pretty amazing. Trey Benson, what he did coming in here. I guess when you look at people, I want people to look at this list and think of how far they've came and how amazing it is that all these guys are top NFL prospects and likely to get drafted. A 10 is a minimum. We're likely to get 11, 12. We'll see. But I think guaranteed you have a 10 or 11. But you go through and you look at Jordan Travis when he came to Florida State. He came from Louisville with little experience. His first couple years, or his first year was with a Taggart, was a nightmare. And then things started getting together. His last 3 years here were great. He had a 10-3 and a 13 in 1 year. Okay, now we bring in a DJU. So where is DJU versus Jordan Travis, where he showed up at Florida State? There's a big difference there. You look across the board. You look at a defensive tackle like Fabian Lovett. He's somebody here who transferred from, I always mess this up. Was it Mississippi State? I know that Jerry and Jones came from Mississippi State. Texas A&M, I think, actually.
Maybe. Was that right? Okay.
Anyways,
real quick, you keep going. I'll look it up. How about that?
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but losing Fabian Lovett, that's a big loss there. At defensive tackle, I know people kind of thought we should have brought in a little bit better, but I'm interested to see what Grady Kelly can be. I don't know if you have a replacement right off the hand for Fabian Lovett, but what you do have is a Daryl Jackson. Again, a guy you brought in last year who's able to come off the bench, a guy who only got to play 1 game against Georgia, which we didn't really see much out of him, in that Georgia game because it wasn't fair. He did not have the rest of his guys next to him. You're really going to see him shine when we get those guys on the defensive end this year. And you want to talk about defensive end, Jared Verse. I think he's a hands down first round pick. If he falls to the second round, it'd be an absolute crime. But we'll see whether he goes first half, second half. He'll definitely be a first round pick. That's going to be the hardest one to recover. But you signed three defensive ends. Yeah.
It was Mississippi State. Sorry.
Both of them came from Mississippi State. Yeah.
Yep.
Mississippi State was good to us. But yeah, just really excited to see these.
Yeah.
Just really excited to see these guys get drafted. I can't wait to see where they go. But make no mistake, Florida State will be filling the coffers, and there will not be no lack for talent. The guys that they replace them with, I'm not saying they're going to be better. I'm not saying that Roydell Williams is going to be a better running back than Trey Benson. But right. I'm telling you right now, the Roydell Williams coming into Florida State is starting on a way bigger floor than what Trey Benson had. When Trey Benson came, he was injured. There was question marks out there. Mario didn't want to take him to Miami, which was just obviously showed to be foolish. But you're talking about a guy who had 500-600 yards for Alabama the last year.
Probably wouldn't have fumbled that 1 yarder either. Same.
Which 1 yarder?
Against Georgia Tech. Probably wouldn't fumble that one.
Probably not.
Just gonna leave that one out there on the table.
Yeah, again, a carry that never should have happened in a million years. But Renardo Green, a guy who turned out to be an amazing defensive back. It took him 4 years to hit his peak, but boy, he was a killer. But who are you replacing him with? You've got Fentrell Cypress, another transfer guy who is going into his second year. You've got Azaria Thomas, a 5-star. Was he a 5-star coming out? I know he's borderline 5-star. I'm gonna call him a 5-star in my book.
I think he was the 4 because if you have Florida State on your list, you're gonna be in between a 4 and a 5, and then as soon as you hit commit, they're gonna drop you down to that 4, a high 4. No matter what. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Boy, Sean Murphy, though he doesn't have the experience. Again, we can't compare him to a Kalen DeLoach or a Tatum Bethune in the experience department. He's a lot younger guy coming from Alabama, but you want to talk athleticism, you want to talk about ceiling, it's just a different level of it coming out of high school, and that's no disrespect to anybody, even Jared Verse. Jared Verse is a story of a guy who was a no-star out of high school, went to a very small college as like a tight end, put on 40 pounds during COVID, comes back and turns into a monster. You could see it. It popped off the tape. It wasn't like he came from nowhere. Everybody saw him dominate when they played Syracuse, and we got him over here. But it was a diamond in the rough, like big-time success story. Marvin Jones Jr., he's a specimen. He was all-world recruit. All these things looked like he was on a path to being a star at Georgia. Just didn't fit the system. It wasn't a great fit. And you get him over here just like a Jermaine Johnson, who was nowhere near as heralded, had to go to Last Chance U, the same story. I'm not sure if you guys are noticing a trend, but it's just something that I've been harping on, and I think people just don't really understand when it comes to the transfer portal classes that Norvell has brought in 21, 22, 23. The first couple classes, they had to do just some amazing evaluations and really get guys who other people weren't necessarily beating down the door yet. Sure, some of them gained a bunch of interest after FSU offered them, but when you're the first guy, it really, and you heard that time and time again. Yep, Florida State, I wasn't in the portal 20 minutes and they called me. I don't know how they do it, how they're able to, scout all these different people who will possibly enter the portal. But it's pretty amazing. So just imagine all these people being replaced with higher caliber athletes. I'm not saying that they'll necessarily be better, because these are all NFL guys, and maybe you won't have this many go again in a long time. It's been since 2000. What year was it that Florida State had 11 guys drafted? Maybe 2012. I'm not even sure, but it's been a long time since we've had 10 plus guys drafted.
Was it 13?
I'm not sure. It could be one of those years. I know we had a bunch, but around 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, Jimbo really had it going on with the draftees. But just because all these guys are going doesn't mean that we're depleted. It's really going to pick up to another level, and I just can't wait for spring to get going. Yeah. Vince says it was, in fact, 2013. So that would be after the 2012 season, the 2013 draft. So I think that's absolutely right. And what happened the year after that?
Well, I don't know if you are aware, But Florida State won a national championship.
That is what I thought.
Oh my God, Jameis is at Mardi Gras. I can't. You know how much I love Jameis.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. Did you see the video of him with the, I don't know,
Oh
was it
my
a
God.
news lady or what, but he was dancing around having a good time. We've got to get him on the show. If we can make that happen, we have got to do it before we're done with this thing for sure. He's out there, man. It's like,
I love him.
If you turn Jameis loose, I mean, he is going to be an absolute killer on the media. He's such a natural at it. So I love it. You know, he's being a quarterback. He's always had to be a quarterback, not get out there and make waves, make attention for this or that. But I think with everything that's happened with him being a journeyman now at this time in his career, the whole, you know, going for it on fourth down, I think he just said, hell with it. I'm going to go out here and have some fun.
I'm going to enjoy it. You know, you could turn me into a Titans fan if they ever, you know, would do something, but they never will. They'll certainly never sign like a Jameis. Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, God, that'd be so fun.
I know. What did you think of that 247 poll? You know, we came up with a term, we were talking yesterday off air. These Miami folks, and it's not all
You came up with a term, George. Do not discount it. It is hilarious. It's great. We're going to keep using it. We might make T-shirts. We're not for sure yet.
Absolutely.
But you came up with a term, not a we. You did. We're not going to give anybody else any extra credit off that because that was you.
And our guy Bobby, he told me now you can't put this on Miami fans because it wasn't a Miami person who did it. It was a guy named Brad at 247 Sports. But nonetheless, I don't know what that guy's proclivities are. I don't know if he's a closet Miami fan or not.
Look, Miami's journalism, especially in sports journalism, they're tons. They're everywhere. Brett McMurphy, Bruce Feldman, Chuck Todd at MSNBC. Look, they're everywhere. And so we can kind of put it on Miami fans because that's what a lot of them make up sports journalism. I hate to break that news to anybody.
Well, sorry, Bobby. I tried to get the X off your back. But anyways, they put Miami at number 13 in a poll that lists Florida State at number 18. So I wanted to highlight those 12 guys invited to the combine. So it's like maybe that's their idea. Oh, well, they have 12 guys going to the combine. So obviously they're short on talent. But I want you to understand how they come to this agreement. It's what we've talked about here all the time. All they look at is high school recruiting rankings. That's all that could possibly go into this thing. To have Florida State at number 18 and Miami at 13. The same list had Louisville at number 20. I feel like you could probably flip Louisville and Miami, put Miami towards 20. Okay, if you're going to project just based solely on talent, okay, let's put Miami at 20, give them a shot. But to have them all the way up at 13 right outside the playoffs and Florida State all the way down at, number 18, I thought it was pretty ridiculous. But the term we came up with, hashtag offseason Dynasty, because boy,
it's great, isn't it? It's hilarious.
It really sums it up because they have a dynasty down there in Miami. It's been going on almost 20 years strong. They've only managed to really screw up and, look like the makings of a dynasty, even a tiny glimpse. For 1 year, they won 10 games and it all fell apart right afterwards. So, the dynasty is intact. There's no way that 1 year could throw it off. And it looks, I'd say another 3 or 4 years, pretty much guaranteed to continue with the off-season dynasty for Miami. But yeah, that's it. I guess high school recruiting rankings. I guess that's basically what they base it on. Because I don't know how you get there. You want to say portal recruiting it's unsustainable. You can't count on that. You have to have sustained high school recruiting. That's the only way to have a consistent program. Well, Florida State's got 10 portal guys that just got invited to the combine in one class. Oh, well, that was just lucky. There's no way that'll happen again. It's like, okay, whatever. We'll see. You keep thinking that, whatever. And, they always say that the history is our greatest teacher. And that is true. But when things change, you have to be able to look at recent history as well. Recent history is always, it's not always the most important thing to look at. But NIL and the transfer portal are not going away. And as long as Florida State's signing better and better kids every single day, you're just gonna have to deal with it. And Yeah, 13 is just for Miami. It's absolutely ludicrous. I don't know what to say. I don't know if there's anybody that defend it. I know a lot of people think it's kind of bullcrap for them to put them that high, putting false, what's the word I'm looking for? False expectations on it. But we'll see.
This is every year. It's every year. Miami is highly ranked every year. Every year, because again, just like I said, sports journalism. It's sports journalism. And if it isn't the Brett McMurphys or the Bruce Feldmans or the other weirdos at all, or Miami freaks that just all Josh Pates, I still believe in Mario Cristobal. He's a great coach. No, the fuck he isn't, dude. He's never been a great coach. Not one time he got fired from FAU. I can't keep going through this. I can't. I cannot do it. I can't do it anymore. But why is Miami trying to come after Patrick Surtain? Because he's awesome.
Yeah, they are.
Why wouldn't they try? It's not happening, but why wouldn't they?
Yeah, that is a pie in the sky for them.
I mean, God, I want to go after Colin Farrell too, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get him on Valentine's Day, okay?
Right.
Sorry, guys. Colin Farrell ain't coming to me. Pat Surtain ain't coming to you to be your Valentine. Miami. I'm sorry. But I mean, George, you're probably after Gail Godot. Who knew, right? You're going after Gail Godot. Okay, let's do that.
We'll see what happens.
I mean,
we're gonna have to get a lot more views. You guys make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Hit that like button.
Donate to the Cash App. Subscribe at renegadereport.substack.com. All that stuff. I need all the help I can get.
I mean, let me go after Tom Brady. Why not?
Hey, Giselle's out of the picture. You never know. You might be able to get in there.
Tom. Let me go after Tom.
But seriously, I don't know I don't know how much more evidence these guys need to believe that Mike Norvell has this program rolling at top level. I don't know how much more, what's the word I'm looking for here? Proof. I don't know how much evidence they need to show that the transfer portal is an important asset of college football moving forward, and that the guys you sign in any particular year of the portal have a much larger impact than the high school. It is what it is. It's just a great thing for Florida State to be able to take advantage of it. And I'm happy that Mike Norvell didn't say, okay, like everybody wanted, like a lot of people, even media, I won't call him name, but like a lot of people are like, oh, well, Florida State now, they're going to have a top 10 recruiting class. This is going into the 5th year of the program. He's only going to get 3 or 4 transfer portal guys. That's it. We don't have to do that anymore. No, that is just not it. He's going to sign as many as you can every year. As many that can come in, and we appreciate the super chat from William McMillan, $2 super chat. Go Noles, beat Miami, and of course we will go down there and beat Miami. And we went through the offensive line the other day, and we compared the entire 2022 offensive line from when we went 10-3 against a much, much more difficult schedule. A schedule when we had to literally play the top 5 ACC teams all within a manner of 6 or 7 weeks. That offensive line, it pales in comparison to what Florida State brings back this year. So when you look at returning production and the things that they're worried about, the guys we're losing in the draft, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, boy, does that ever hurt. But you know who we didn't lose? Our entire starting offensive line. We brought back an entire starting unit. And what we do to the reserves, we greatly upgraded them. Who's coming back? Kyle Morlock. Kyle Morlock going into a second year. I mean, he was more steady throughout the year, for being honest, than Jaheim Bell because he had his injuries. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Morlock, to me, I feel like this year with DJ, oh, man, I can't wait to see what kind of steps he makes. Yeah, I can't get over Roydell Williams. I think the running back room, I was more excited about Keziah Holmes than I think anybody could be in the nation last year. I wanted to see him get his carries. So to see him, Keziah, Toa Feely is another guy that people like. He has made steady strides year after year. He's getting thicker and thicker. There's not an extreme experience thing where we brought back 87, 90% like last year, but still the levels of magnification better than it was in 2022. And you have that much easier of a schedule than you had in 2022. I don't see how anybody could ever have us at 18 and Miami at 13. I just really can't get over that. The rest of the list is kind of funky. They got Ole Miss up at number 5, and that's what kills me. How come Ole Miss gets credit for their transfers, but Louisville doesn't? And I get there's the whole thing of who gets, Louisville lost a lot of their people and all this stuff, but it's just really infuriating. Number 5 is a pretty steep jump for a program who's never. I mean, have they ever come close to finishing like number 5 at the end of a season?
No, but they won 10 games. I think this is their second season in a row winning 10 games, which I guess for Ole Miss is something to really write home about, which is more than Miami's done in 20 years, by the way. So I will say that. I mean, Ole Miss is ahead of Miami. But Ole Miss is not going to win the SEC. It's not going to happen. I don't even know that they're going to make the playoffs. So I just, although I think Lane Kiffin wants a better job than Ole Miss, I do. So I think he's going to put a lot of effort into this, and I think they're going to really go for it this year and see what happens. If you think Lane isn't putting everything in to trying to just get the best job he possibly can, because he's going to hit his ceiling at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not winning a national championship in football. It's just not going to happen. But nowhere to put a stadium.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was going to go to this once you finish, but Bobby says, I understand.
Yeah, no, I was reading it. No, I was just saying, I think for Ole Miss, I think it is ridiculous to put them at 5. I'm not saying you should project to say, hey, Ole Miss is not winning a national championship. But yes, Ole Miss gets a lot of credit for nothing, for absolutely nothing. But they do have they have a favorable schedule in the SEC this year. So I think that ranking is going to reflect that. I also think it's because Lane's putting everything into this year. But the Miami ranking and the Tennessee ranking is absolutely the most egregious thing I've ever seen in my life. Tennessee beat absolutely nobody last year and lost horrifically to a horrendous Florida team. Tennessee, I get it. In their bowl game, that quarterback looked great, but Tennessee is like Miami. They're back until they're not.
Yeah, I don't.
That is the two closest two teams I can possibly name since the 1998 and 2000 championships. Neither one has done a damn thing since, or 2001. And I just don't want to hear it from them anymore. They're like the guy from Castaway. Hey, I've been on this island for 5,000 years. Is my team still number 1? No. And they haven't been since you got there. Tom Hanks.
Facts. Bobby says, I understand the rivalry trolling stuff, but has anyone seen the Miami campus or Coral Gables? There's nowhere to put a stadium, even if the university was going to build one. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that's facts of life. You know what I mean?
That's it is what it is. Though, and we still get to troll about it. You still got to get your own stadium. You cannot rent a stadium or... God, I don't know how to solve that then, because I'm sure other teams have stadiums that they share, and don't have the keys to and all that good stuff. But it's just not college to me. That's not college. And that's not Big Ten either, guys. Miami. I hate to break that news to you.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, that's just one of those things. We can't help it that there's nowhere to build one. I don't know what the answer is to that, but that's a giant disadvantage that y'all just have to deal with. I don't know what the answer is there. And Miami has a lot of trouble with building codes and stuff. But before we get away from this way too early poll, it's egregious. There's 5 teams. 6 teams, all these teams all around Florida State, Miami, LSU, Oklahoma, Clemson, Louisville, Virginia Tech, all that we've beaten recently. And they've got, half of them in front of us and another couple right there around us. It's pretty disrespectful, but it's just a sign of Florida State having to earn everybody's respect. I have a feeling as we get closer and closer to the season, you're going to start these things. You start to see Florida State climb up the rankings slowly but surely. I think it's totally fair to put us where we were at the end of last year. I think, not at the end of last year, at the beginning of last year, number 7 or number 8 in the polls by the time the season will get here is where I would have us. Maybe a lot of people disagree with me, but I'm really, pretty high on these guys. Where do you think we should start out?
Well, I'm actually I'm not terribly upset with the 18 ranking. I think when you lose the players you lose, you've got, well, I mean, I know we have DJU coming in. He's got experience. So maybe I would say I'd actually be better with them flipping Miami and Florida State because I don't know how you justify that.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
number one.
The sound of 18 doesn't sound bad, but when you look at when you start to look at who would have to be ahead of you for you to get to 18, it's a fucking, excuse my language, it's a problem. You know what I mean? I agree. Yeah, if you flipped them, that would be fair. I would be totally fine with that. If Florida State was at 13, 12, 13, and you have Miami at 20, but yeah, that 10 through 15, 16, 17, all those people that are in front of Florida State, it's BS.
Yeah, and nobody has yet to explain the Tennessee one. The Miami one, I can almost get even more than the Tennessee one. At least Miami beat Texas A&M. Miami beat Clemson. Tennessee, their best win was Connecticut. And maybe Iowa with 0 offense.
Damn, it was that bad.
Yeah. Please go look at their schedule from last year.
Pulling it up.
They beat nobody, and lost to Florida.
Yeah, that was.
And was still ranked in like the top 15. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah, that was the super embarrassing one. How you get blown out by that Florida team.
Blown out by Florida. Not just lost to them, blown out. Like ran all over. It was just. Ugh. I mean, I wouldn't even show my face the next day if I was a Tennessee fan. But you know what? Those fools on Sunday morning were at church, excited in their orange, ready for the next week.
South Carolina, A&M, Kentucky. Yeah, I'd say probably A&M or Kentucky is probably their best win too. It's rough. I know Virginia was one of the best out-of-conference wins for the SEC overall, but they still got all the love, even though they kept dropping those games over and over again. But yeah, Tennessee just gets credit for their losses. It's the damnedest thing. It's all, well, of course they have those losses. They played Georgia and Alabama. So it's like, it's this crazy thing where you get this get-out-of-jail-free card. It's pretty ridiculous. But
you don't have to win any good games. All you have to do is lose good games. And that must be nice. That must be really nice. But yeah, Tennessee is going to be the same Tennessee we saw this year, and they might be worse. They've lost a lot on the offensive line. Their defense, a lot of their defensive players decided to declare for the draft. Their portal choices have not been great. But their recruiting was okay this year. I mean, it was okay. They lost a lot at the end. I just think I think Josh Heupel is going to be in that same little position that most Tennessee coaches are. They start out okay. Their offense looks great. Heupel's offense I like. His defense, I don't know. I'd like to see him hire a better defensive coordinator. He hasn't been able to do it. But Tennessee gets credit for being in the SEC and being in the SEC East, which I know there's not going to be divisions anymore. I know all that's going. But to have them ranked there, you can't, there's no justification. Like I said, I think there's more justification for Miami being ranked ahead of Tennessee than there is for Tennessee to be anywhere, even in the top 25, because you can't even show me a reason for that. Not one.
I hear you. Yeah, I agree. They're both way, way too high. But yeah, it's ridiculous. But moving on.
Well, hang on. At least Tennessee has a bowl win to come off of. Miami lost to Rutgers. Okay, just gonna put that one back out there again.
Yeah, and they beat Texas A&M too. So I mean, that's Miami's best win. So it's like, I'm fine with Tennessee being 2 spots in front of Miami, but it should have been, if anything, like Miami 23, Tennessee 21 type of thing. It's like, whatever, but we'll see it. But one of the things we got on the thumbnail that I really wanted to talk about, I wanted to compare and talk about the state of quarterback play in the Big 3. Who's in the best situation with their quarterback? And I just realized today, I couldn't realize what it was about Graham Mertz at Florida. And this gives us an excuse to talk about Florida. We got to talk about their strength and conditioning program and just everything falling apart over there. But Graham Mertz, the all-pro NFL tight end. So basically, it's the same exact name. You just add an M. Graham Mertz. So I figured that shit out today. I was like, what is like what I was like, am I confusing these names? Like I was looking for a picture for the thumbnail and it keeps showing me the tight end. I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, that's what it is. Add an M. But long story short, let's get into the three quarterbacks. Who do you think has the best situation? And we can start with Florida. Where do you have them ranked? First, second, or third going into this year with their quarterback situation?
For the big three? For the quarterback situation, first, second, or third? Quarterback.
Yep.
Right? I'd say third.
That's it? That's all you got?
I'd say I'd have them third. I would have Florida at third with just with the quarterback. Not unless
Absolutely.
You're adding in everything else. If you're adding in coaching, offensive line, all these other things, I might have a different ranking.
Well, yeah, let's have a conversation. No, let's not exclude all that. But that's fair. But I'm just saying, what do you think? Like
just for quarterback.
Absolutely.
Then Florida is third.
I'm with you. Yeah, I would say Florida State, Miami, Florida. It's tough. You got three super experienced guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jen said, she wants to separate hers. I can't possibly do it. I just can't in my mind do it. Because I think the quarterback matching the system and all that stuff like has to go into play. So even though Graham Mertz had a ton of success and he was real good last year with his checkdowns and, you know, he was the game manager they needed to be to win as many games as they could. I just can't look past the fact that his offensive line is going to be a sieve and like kind of his abilities and what he has to offer at the table. It's just a really bad situation for him. And in fact, I think there's a good chance he could end up transferring out between May 1st and May 15th. Maybe that's a crazy, I'm not trying to put a rumor out there. I didn't hear anything about this from anybody. And before we move on to the other two quarterbacks, Jen, I also want to know I was just expecting a little bit more of the whole situation. I guess I phrased my question wrong, but with their strength and conditioning coach being like the only guy they hired, there was a whole conspiracy. There's this whole thing in the media. Their last strength and conditioning guy didn't have this, didn't have that. He didn't have them lifting weights. They were only doing cardio. Everybody was shrinking. They were starting to get pushed around. It was this whole issue. They retained the entire offensive staff. They didn't get to make any splash hires like they wanted with all the stuff going on with coaching and their NIL and everything. He comes out and says it took them 18 months to even figure out what their ass from their elbow in NIL recruiting. Boom, you lose the only hire in that strength and conditioning guy to where? Boston College. I mean, I know it's Bill O'Brien, but it's still Boston College. It was the same Boston College that a hot coaching hire Steve Adazio went off to after winning titles as a coordinator and doing all this stuff. So it's really tough for me to, look past all that stuff. It looks like you've got a lame duck to such a degree that I don't see how it doesn't crumble before the season even gets here.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I get it. Like if we wanted to just say, hey, quarterbacks in the situations, and you could include coaches and offensive line and all these other things, that I would
for the sake of conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if we're just talking quarterback talent and quarterback themselves, then that's where I'm going to go. But if we need to go in a different route, then I have a different ranking.
No, that's fair. But what do you think about the whole situation?
Well, I think Florida's a mess. I think Florida's a mess right now. I think it's bad. If could I see somebody transferring out? Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Look what everybody's saying. That what's his name could start August 31st. That's not fringe fans on message boards.
Talking about Lagway? We'll get into it. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So people are saying like Lagway could start August 31st against Miami, and it should that's not message board saying that. That's not fans being like, with their, orange and blue glasses on.
Does he want to deal with the whole Tebow and him being Chris Leak? Does he want to deal with that? Or would he rather just go somewhere and be the man for his final year of college football?
That's what I'm saying. Should these rumors not just be, hey, well, maybe this could happen? Could it be something that these reporters are hearing? Because again, these aren't fans; these are actual people in sports news saying, hey, this could happen. So is Billy really just going to go ahead and say, I'm going to put my coaching prowess on this line, and that's the hand I'm going to play? And you never know. What if he promised them that?
Yeah, who knows?
He told the kid you were going to start.
Who knows? And here's the thing: even if, say, whatever, the rumors aren't true, he starts Mertz to start the year. Even so, he still has to look over his shoulder the rest of the year. Hey, if I roll my ankle with 3 games left, are they going to bench me and just say, it's worth it? Just, we're 3-4 already. We're going to let the kid finish the year out and eat up his NFL draft potential, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot to think about. So we'll just have to see what happens. But even if, we're talking about one way with their quarterback room could go the opposite way. They have no problem with Mertz and Lagway. It's unlimited transfers now. It ain't nothing to get out of that national letter intent now. And again, we're not spreading rumors. This is nothing what we heard. We're just having a conversation here. But with everything, all the issues swirling around Florida, with their Florida victorious, whatever you want to call it, non-existent NIL, they got started first when all this stuff started. They set up the first collective. They thought they were doing this, doing that. It turned out to be a whole mess. For a coach to come out and make a comment like that about being 18 months behind when he can't make the hires he needs to make, and you lose the one hire you did make, it's just a rough situation for that whole place down there. But we will move on. So we both are in agreement. The third best quarterback out of 3 is going to be Graham Mertz. And I know Florida people are probably pissed. Look at his stats. He's this and that. But things aren't made equal. If you're doing a draft and you're starting a team and you got to pick from the 3, some people, there's going to be some debate between DJU and Cam Ward, but Mertz is coming third in all this. So we can move on to Cam Ward and Miami.
Okay.
I think I know your answer here, so I don't even have to ask you, but I do want to hear your opinion on how do you think that's going to work down there with Cam Ward? And you can let him know where you have him ranked, but I know you're.
I have him at 2, and this is not because he's going to Miami. I think I would have had him at 2 even if he had chose Florida State and DJU had gone somewhere else. And the reason is turnovers. The reason is turnovers for me. That's an issue. I don't like it, and it doesn't seem to be fixed yet. It's been a problem for him for a while. I don't know that he was poorly coached everywhere he's been to where that should, but he did have a horrendous offensive line. But I think we talked to Kenny about that. Remember that? Remember when we talked to Kenny and he said, offensive line, that's a mental thing. That is a mental thing, right? And talking to somebody who played the game, right? We've got to go with that, right? And for me, that's the reason that I'm going to go. And that's my reasoning for putting him at 2, because until he can get that fixed, and I don't see that happening this year, right? In 2024, I don't think he's going to a staff that's going to be able to fix that. I don't think, and because I don't think they have a ability to. I don't think that coaching staff is somebody that I would go to progress in the field of quarterbacking. I'm not a quarterback scientist, obviously, but what I can tell you is, if I was, the last person I would go to as at the top of my field would be Mario Cristobal. I got to tell you that right now.
Yeah, and that's what I keep going back to with mine. Like, as much as I'd like to separate it, I just cannot. And this might be hypocritical, this might be homerist, but I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to put Cam Ward at 2 and DJU at 1. And if it was flipped, if DJU is at Miami and Cam Ward was at Florida State, I'd probably do the opposite. I'd probably say Cam Ward number 1 and DJU number 2, just because of the situations. I can't ignore it. And my question, like I said, it might have been poor roommate, but the quarterback situation in general at the schools. And one thing about Miami, is they got a similar situation to what we just talked about with Florida. You've got Ja'Cory Brown, who, when this shit happened and he declared for the NFL, they made a commitment. It's going to be Ja'Cory Brown. That was the deal. He thought he was set. He was going to start. Even some this last year, he thought it was going to be his, and they brought TVD back in. All these things. Well, now, bam. So how does that relationship? How's Cam Ward fitting into that locker room with his teammates? Is he the kind of guy that can come in and win it over? Now, DJU, like, he walks into a situation that's not even necessarily something that he would need at Florida State. Florida State's, they got it going on. They have a culture there. Everybody you hear talk about tour duty says, man, I came from Bama and this is even harder. Or, man, I came from here and it's unreal how much more difficult this is. So it's just a poor situation for him over there, in my opinion, with his turnovers. Is a place that's, 3 yards in a cloud of dust and wants you to line up in the I form and hand it off a whole bunch going to be the most successful thing for you? Is a bunch of ball handling the best thing for a guy with all these turnovers that are fumbles and all these things of this nature? We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But, somewhere that caters to you, a playoff offense for playmakers, it's just something different. And, 47 or whatever it is, the crazy number of turnovers between interceptions and fumbles the past 2 or 3 years is it's just like you said, it's concerning. And you got to look at who's coaching him and who can get him over the hump. His absolute ceiling may be higher than DJU's, but everything else, every other check on the box is in DJU's favor.
Yeah, and okay, so here's what I'm going to say. If DJU was at Miami and Cam Ward was at Florida State, I would have DJU number 1 and Cam Ward number 2 and Graham Mertz number 3. Because
from a number 1, you said that.
Yeah. I've liked DJ before he came to Florida State first, and I liked Cam. I do like Cam Ward. I love Cam Ward, but I had DJ ahead of Cam Ward because of the turnovers. And to me, it does seem sometimes that Cam Ward looks like he's seeing a little ghost back there. He looks a little steppy steps, and that's when the fumbles come in. And no offense, but when you see somebody seeing ghosts on that offense for Miami, it doesn't usually get fixed. It actually gets worse. It actually gets worse. Please go look at the stats. It does. It does. It doesn't get fixed. It gets horrendous.
That's a good point.
Turns into the Scream movies.
Yeah. That was a good point by Encyclopedia there. Ryan Leaf's ceiling was higher than Peyton Manning's too. Yeah, they don't all work out. But we're not going to do that to Ward yet. We're not going to call him either of those. But we'll give him a shot.
No, Bobby, I didn't say the offensive line is something he's never seen. I said the offensive line I didn't really think was as much of his issue with his fumbles, even though I acknowledged his offensive line was terrible. What I'm saying is his fumbles, that's more of a mental issue than it was him being hit too much, because that's a big dude. And he wasn't playing like the Georgias, the Floridas, the Alabamas. I mean, come on. Let's be real here. Let's be real. The offensive line wasn't covering the big dogs, right?
You can use that to account for a certain amount of it, and that's tough. But no, it's pretty bad. Like DJU he didn't have the best offensive line either, and he had some pretty bad situations at Clemson with an aging, decrepit offense, and he still had 7 interceptions each year. But no, you can protect the ball. That is, like you said, it's a mindset. And like I believe that's another thing that Kenny Shaw said that he was on here. When it comes to fumbling the ball, it doesn't really matter how big you are or anything like that. He wasn't the biggest player there ever was, but you best believe he wasn't dropping that thing.
Right, and that's where I was going with that. It wasn't about, seeing ghosts means you're getting wrecked a lot constantly, but even when he's not getting wrecked, even when, like TVD saw ghosts. TVD was coached poorly and regressed. I do see that happening for Cam Ward. I'm not trying to troll here. I'm being real.
That's the issue, and it's like I don't see any situation where he's going to come in and be able to just get the whole team on his back and make everybody around him better and be able to have this giant impact on the team. We'll see. Maybe he can. Maybe it'll be a Cinderella story. But it's tough. We'll see what happens. But we did.
Bobby, we're not trying to be mean. We're not trying to troll. I promise you. I'm trying to be honest with you. I had Cam number 2 because I do think his turnovers are a problem, and I don't know that it's a mechanics fix. I think it's a mental fix right now. And I just feel like that's an issue going in with a Mario coach team because, I mean, just the proof's in the pudding with his, leadership there. That's what I'm saying. Miami's going to have to prove it to me on the field before I ever give them the benefit of the doubt again. I'm just never going to do it. They got to go win some games, win some big games, do something productive, win a conference championship, sniff a conference championship, do something like that, score a touchdown in a conference championship. I'm not sure which one you want to go to, but let's do something here and then we can talk.
Yeah, and Dante's Boxing Talk says Ward is playing with the most talent he ever has. We shall see. But look, I can say the same thing about DJU.
Yeah.
Say what you want,
well,
and that's
maybe not at Clemson. Maybe not at Clemson.
I think without a doubt, that's just my opinion. Like I said, a lot of people may not agree with me, but I think it's 10 times the position he had at Clemson. Clemson, when he was there, it was after all the big time wide receivers and running backs and this and that. That's just my opinion. So I think Florida State is ghastly underrated. The blue chip ratio is right there in line with what Clemson had at the time he was there, and that thing was falling apart.
Actually, George, you might be right, Bobby. George might be right because that was the last year. The year DJU first came in was their last year. Those Mike Williams type wide receivers. They haven't had those wide receivers in a long time.
Well, the guys just left. I mean, Venables left. Yeah. The offensive guys left one by one, and everybody blamed it on DJ. They're like, "Oh man, this thing just ain't the same." But the names weren't there. They counted on Shipley for 4 years. That was it. Can somebody you tell me who are the wide receivers for the past 4 years for Clemson?
I have no idea.
You tell or last it's the last 3 years. Google, Bobby. Hit that the last 3 years, I guess it would be. He transferred out this year, and then he was the quarterback the previous 2 years. It wasn't special. Did they have in some old way? If you look at the old school, just high school recruiting rankings, is it pretty good? Yeah, but they weren't. They just didn't adjust to the times.
No.
Look who's getting drafted right now. Who's getting drafted right now is the guys that he had around him while he was at Clemson. How many Clemson offensive players are going in the draft right now?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That is actually a very good point, George. That's actually a very good point. My goodness. We're going to write that one down for you along with offseason Dynasty.
And I saw Coda the Great says she wants to know how many games you guys think Miami wins this year. I think we've talked about this a little bit, but we haven't put a number on exactly how many games they win. I really think they can get to 8. I think they can get 8.
Wow.
I'm still betting the under. I don't think they get to 9 or 10 wins, but I think they can get 8.
George, I'm going with 6.5 to 7. And that's because I think you never underestimate Miami or Mario Cristobal's ability to screw up talent and lose home games.
Yeah, let me look at their schedule here.
Their schedule this year is very favorable. It's very easy and just I'm sorry. Look, Bobby, I get it. Maybe it's Valentine's Day. I'm giving you guys some love. I said 6 or 7.
Let's look at the go-ahead wins. The go-ahead wins. Florida A&M, they're going to win that. That's 1. Ball State, that's 2. USF for the 3rd win. Let's give them that's it, though. That's the thing. That's the only 3 guaranteed wins you have. Florida, that could go either way. I'm leaning Miami this point. We all kind of pick Florida on that show, but like we've talked about extensively, Florida just seems like every day something else comes out that it's like, oh shit. It's just we'll see. Talk to me there's going to be a final prediction before the season because I really don't know what's going to happen in that second portal period. I think we're going to have a little bit of drama in it this year, but we'll give it to them and we'll say that's their 4th win. Then they got Virginia Tech. I'm taking Virginia Tech over Miami this year. and drones.
Oh God, yeah. Well, God, Virginia Tech's coaching staff is almost as bad as Miami. I don't know. Okay, never mind.
I like Key. Let's see here. Cal. I'll give them Cal. That'd be their 5th win. Louisville. I think these projections
No,
are
Louisville's
nuts.
winning.
Louisville's gonna beat them. Florida State's gonna beat them. So they're looking for their 6th win against Duke.
Nope.
The Manny Diaz Bowl. That's tough.
Manny's winning that game. Manny's winning that game. I'm telling you right now. Manny has that game circled today and has probably already got a game plan. Look, that is the most important game on Duke's schedule this year. I'm telling you that right now. Manny Diaz is coming up in that game. Look, He wants to run it up and down the field. Yeah. And Duke is used to running up and down on Miami, and they get to go to Miami and play. So it's like a homecoming, right?
Right. I agree. I'll give them one of the two. We'll split Duke and Georgia Tech. Say they win one of the 2 of those games, whether it's Duke or Georgia Tech, I'm not sure. But that would give them 6 if they can split there. Then all they got to do is beat Wake Forest and Syracuse. If they can get those 2, that would put them at 8. What do you think about Georgia Tech? Do you agree with me on the split there, or do you think they lose there as well?
They're playing at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
When is that game?
That's right. It's right after Duke, November 9th. I'm going in order.
When do they play Florida State again? Give me the date.
2 weeks before that.
Okay, 2 weeks before that. Oh God. All right. Yeah, no. I'm gonna say they lose to Georgia Tech too. I'm gonna give them a loss to Georgia Tech. Yep.
So you have them splitting Wake Forest and Syracuse, I guess. So which one? Who's gonna get them? Who are they gonna win out of those 2?
Wake.
So you think they beat Wake and then go down and lose to the young hot coach at Syracuse?
I do.
Man, that dude is making moves, ain't he?
I do.
I thought it was a little bit of hype at first, but he just keeps making great hire after great, recruiting move after great this, after great that. Old Fran is really killing it up there.
Fran's trying to get a better job in 2 years. Fran doesn't want to be stuck, down in, up at Syracuse, New York. He's looking to make some moves and get a good job in 2 years. Hey, maybe he'll be at Miami in 2 years. Y'all don't know.
That's a lesson to people.
Yeah.
That's a lesson to people. Whatever you're doing, people have a thing of getting stuck in a position and they say, oh, well, since I'm getting paid minimum wage, I'm giving minimum wage effort here. No. Whatever position you're in, you give your absolute best and you show out. You be the best joker there is at whatever you're doing at whatever pay raise. Doesn't mean you have to do that forever. If you don't get compensated or you don't, get your come up, then all you've done is just develop skills in that time and you go to the next thing. But always, it's like the old saying, if you're the backup quarterback, prepare like you're the starter for when you get the opportunity. So that's exactly what Fran Brown's doing. He's pretending Syracuse is Georgia or anywhere else, and he's doing everything he possibly can to compete at the highest level. He's not looking at it with a defeatist attitude saying, like, you could look at it and say, Fran Brown, no matter what he does, he could be the greatest college football coach of all time. And in the next 2 or 3 years, he's not winning the college football playoff. I mean, you could bet money on it. That's like probably not going to happen. You could, if you looked at it that way going in, you could come in with reduced expectations and do this and do that. But that's not how he's looking at it, and really respect him for that. But one thing you said, kept saying you wanted to talk about, we can get to it in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to it in just a second. Let's see, what was I going to say? Let's talk about a little bit more on the Fran Brown stuff, and maybe let me think. What else was I going to ask you about?
That's all I got on that. But he is a beast.
I was going to ask you about.
Oh, I thought you had to go.
I do, just real quick, but I wanted to get your opinion so you could talk about it while I take 2 seconds to step away.
Okay, what you got for me?
About Louisville's schedule, because Louisville, I feel like, is being a little, everybody thinks Miami's going to be so good, but Louisville plays Miami this year. I think Louisville beats Miami, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do we think they beat Kentucky this year? Let's discuss.
Oh shit! Kentucky. I don't know anything about Kentucky, but I will tell you right now that if you're asking me who's favored to make it to the ACC championship, I think Louisville is that team. I think without a doubt they're that second team in the conference. I have a good. I imagine seeing them in the ACC championship back-to-back years, and all these people that have Miami and Clemson power ranked ahead of them, they're tripping. But let me pull up their schedule right here, and we will look through it. Kentucky really let me down this year. They kind of used their bunch of buys and stuff to come out and beat Florida, but that was it. After that, they really they kind of deflated after that. Whew. They have a pretty favorable schedule, actually. Louisville starts out with App State, Jacksonville State, 2-0, Georgia Tech, 3-0, Notre Dame. That's another big game again. Damn, they just played them last year. Why are they playing them again this year? Well, they play Notre Dame again. You call that 3-1. They got them last year. Maybe Notre Dame gets them this year. Then they got SMU, UVA, 2 more wins, Miami, Boston College, Clemson, Stanford, Pitt, and then UK. Yeah, they've got a pretty damn favorable schedule. Not quite as good as last year, but I can definitely see them cleaning up and getting it back to the ACC championship. But we got our first caller. You're live on the Renegade Rundown.
What's up, man? This your boy Twin.
What's up, Twin? What can we do for you, boss?
Man, just calling.
We appreciate you supporting, man.
Hey, I think, I know you say Louisville might make it to the ACC championship.
Yes,
but
sir.
I got Virginia Tech making it with Florida State.
Hey, that's fair, man. Virginia Tech has they got some pieces coming back. I really like that quarterback they got, and I think they took a long, fortuitous route getting there. But I really like their head coach, and we'll see what they can do. A lot of people picking them. They're a dark horse pick for sure.
They're gonna surprise a lot of people this year, man.
For sure, man. Well, we appreciate you calling. Did you have any other question before we let you go and open the line back up?
Yeah, man, but I just appreciate y'all doing what y'all do. You and Jenny, hey, keep it up.
Absolutely, man. We sure appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time.
Okay, brother. I'll holler at y'all.
Appreciate it. Yeah, like I said earlier, Virginia Tech, that is definitely a dark horse pick. We're really going to say it's kind of like a prove it year for them. Really going to see if they can push that momentum forward that we saw. The comments crack me up sometimes. And yeah, they bring back pretty much everybody, and they really started to pull it together, kind of like Florida State at the end of a 2021 type of deal. So it would be fun to see them put it together. But yeah, I've got Louisville right now, but it wouldn't surprise me for Virginia Tech to sleep in there. But we were talking about earlier.
They lost their bowl game really bad. Am I thinking that wrongly? Because I'm thinking something happened in either Virginia Tech's last in-season game or their bowl game that made me go, ugh.
I'm not sure. I could look it up though.
But I could totally be wrong there. I don't know. Like I said,
42 to 41-20 win over Tulane, number 23 Tulane. So, nope, that's a big win.
Was it their last game, maybe their last ACC game? Did they lose that?
I'm not sure, Jen.
I can look that up. I can look that up too. No, I can do it.
Who did they play? Oh, it just brought me back to Tulane. They were 7-6 overall, so not a great year, but like somebody was saying, I think it's over 70% production. So
yeah, they do have that.
And I really like drones. But you were saying before we went live, so we don't have a bunch of callers and stuff. Since tomorrow is Valentine's Day, that maybe we would share a couple horror stories. Do you have anything you want to share with the people? Any good stories to tell?
Do I have oh my God. Yes, I do.
It doesn't have to be a horror story. I guess you can tell a good one.
Well, I was going to go to a movie with somebody. They brought me a gas station rose. Jelly beans from said gas station, and paid for the movie and Malco coupons. Not a gift card. Coupon. Like, it's cool. I get it. But like, couldn't you at least gotten like a dozen roses instead of?
I agree, Nick. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop in this nightmare scenario. Sounds like a sweet guy so far,
sir.
So did he have it like? So hold on. He presented you with like he won tickets off the radio and put them in like an envelope with the gas station rose.
No. Just I'm standing there after the gas station rose, after the jelly beans.
He just whipped out a coupon to hand to the lady that was taking the tickets. Okay. A
coupon. And I'm just sitting here going, and by the way, like,
he could have saved that one for his own trip, man. Jeez. Poor guy.
You know, and like we were leaving, and his dad's in like tidy whities. I mean, it's been a long time. You know, this is a long time.
Hold on, we were leaving, and his dad is in tidy whities. What? What are you talking about?
We had to stop at his house to pick up the fucking coupons. It was just a bad day.
You're burying the lead of this story. Like, what in the hell? Start over from the beginning. What the hell are you talking? His dad was in his tidy whities. So did the guy live with his dad?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you know, I think we're like 18.
Okay. Well, that's understandable.
Yeah. But like picks me up with one gas station rose, which is good. Look, I am not.
He probably needed what it came in. Was he one of those kind of guys? Or is he smoking with the thing?
I don't know. We didn't date after this. Okay. We didn't date after this. This wasn't like a long-term option. But no, I mean, there was no effort. It didn't feel like there was effort. It felt like you came to pick me up, you stopped at 7-Eleven on your way to pick me up, and then forgot the coupons you wanted to pay for the date with. So we had to stop by your house, and your dad's running around in his damn tidy whities. I mean, I just felt like there was no effort at all. There was no effort. And even if it doesn't matter about them. It just, to me, like I said, it felt like you stopped on your way to pick me up, forgot the coupons you wanted to pay for the date with.
Well, we've got inquiring minds. They want to know what your gift was.
To him?
Yeah.
It was a plated silver flask.
Bam. That is a badass, but I've never got a Valentine's gift like that. So how about that comment section?
Yeah.
Hers was thoughtful. Yeah. So he had to get a gas station rose. The one thing you thought to get him on Valentine's Day was a plated flask. Sounds like the guy was ahead. So we'll move.
Even put a Go Vols on the back of it because he was a Tennessee fan.
Oh, Lord. Well, see, it all starts to make sense now when you talk about his dad running around in the underwear and the whole thing.
It was the effort, really, because I was like, you know, if I'm actually kind of a cheap date. Like, look, that stuff doesn't bother me. That's not what the horror was. The horror was, it was the effort. It was the actual not giving a shit about any of it. So I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, don't call me again. I got caller ID, dude.
I'll say he did better than I did. In my kind of nightmare Valentine story, I'm going to teach a lesson. I know it's not that many super young people that listen to this, but this is good, solid advice for anybody around Valentine's Day. I had a girlfriend one time, and boy, for months, it seemed like before Valentine's Day, all she did was say, man, I'm so tired of seeing all these Valentine's Day ads. I can't stand it. It's disgusting. It's the this, it's that, and it's just an excuse to steal money and blah 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 blah. And I mean, she was on it. She really had me convinced. So, we came around. It was Valentine's Day. I didn't even say anything about it. Didn't get a gift. Nothing. I was like, I'm not gonna piss her off and bring it up and do some cheesy thing. Well, she was living with me at the time. On February 15th, it might have been the 16th. It wasn't very long, but I came home from work today and all her stuff was just gone. So I don't know. I guess I don't know if she was planning to leave on that day anyway, so she just didn't want me to get her something and then her have to feel guilty, or if I really should have fucking got her something. Excuse my language, but. No, I
thought you were about to say you came home or like she was living with you and then it was February 15th. And I was like, maybe she moved out because you gave her something on side piece Valentine's Day. Because if you gave her something on February 15th, maybe she thought she was your side piece.
No.
That's when side piece get Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah, I didn't have that kind of time. And that's what I blame it on. I was working nights at the time, so I was a little loopy there. But no, so it was like one of those.
Nights? So you can't do Valentine's Day.
What's that?
You were working nights, so you
for a side piece and the one that was living with me. No, I did not have that kind of time.
Well, I mean, look, some people have that kind of time. I don't know.
Yeah, not at that time. It wasn't. That wasn't going on. But no, I just didn't get anything. I thought she didn't like it. That's what she told me. But apparently she did like it.
Oh no! We lie about stuff like that. When we say that, that means you're supposed to really dig into it and get something special.
I'm learning.
Guys,
I'm learning
please
this.
Listen to that. When we say we do not want a gift for Christmas or Valentine's Day or birthdays, what that really means, we want something thoughtful, but it doesn't have to be expensive. That's what that means.
Yeah, I think the whole thing was I was supposed to like you said, yeah, do something thoughtful. Maybe that didn't cost money. That was like super romantic or gestury, but fuck, she should have just said that.
She did.
I can't say what she got me, but she didn't get me not nothing. It was like she was really sweet to me on that day. But
well, that sounds interesting.
Not for the show.
Let's get George drunk and see if he can tell us what she got him.
Yeah, we'll see about maybe after the spring game or something. But the Rock and Roll Pepper Show comes with a good question that caught my eye. He says, "How do you guys think Florida State would do against Florida's schedule this year?" Now, look, that schedule is a murderer's row, and that's why it's so hard to see everything what's going around Florida. Even with our team, even with the juggernaut that I feel we have, it would be tough. But the thing about having Florida's schedule, in order to make the playoffs, all you got to do is win 9 games. With Florida's schedule, if they win 9 games, they're in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I truly think Florida State, that's where I come in. I think Florida State would probably win 9 or 10 games against their schedule.
You want to do it?
I'm looking at it. I'm pulling it up. Okay. Yeah, you go first. Get it started.
So I say Miami win, Stanford win, A&M win, Mississippi State win, UCF win, Tennessee win, Kentucky win, Georgia loss, Texas. That's at I'd say a loss at Texas because it's at Texas. I'm just gonna try and not put my garnet glasses on, even though I don't even know that I believe it. So I'm gonna say a loss at Texas, win at LSU, win Ole Miss, and then I'm going to replace Florida with Florida State.
Well, it's just the opposite.
Yeah. So beat Florida. So I'm sorry, I have them losing 2 games.
10-2. And 10-2 with that schedule, you're going to be somewhere around 8 or 9 in the country. So yeah, I think I agree with that. I would probably go like. Here's the thing: you're not going to favor Florida State over Georgia. So
no.
I think they split that. I think the way Mike Norvell is for these games, he would get up, he would figure out how to win one of those 2 games.
To be fair, I think if you want to put a gun to my head, I really believe they would beat Texas.
Yeah, that'd be the more likely win for Mike Norvell. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with our secondary, I feel like they'd be able to put a cap on that high flying passing attack that they have and be able to, make it have to run to beat us. But this is looking a long ways out. But yeah, I think they could split that one. But there's also a chance you could drop one. You're playing LSU for the third year in a row. Maybe LSU can get you. Maybe Ole Miss gets you. As much as I talk about them. But yeah, I think it really comes down to that last half. Like, you're crazy if you think you're gonna just go through that unscathed. I think there's a very good chance it would be anywhere from 9 to 11 games there on the scale. But for Florida, it's just tough, man.
Okay, I know their schedule sucks, but like Miami's at Florida, right? Texas A&M is at Florida. Tennessee is at Tennessee. That's a tough one, right? That's a tough one. Kentucky's at Florida. Georgia's at, obviously a neutral site, right? Texas is at Texas. But listen to this. LSU and Ole Miss is at Florida too. So you've got LSU, Ole Miss, Miami, Texas A&M, UCF, and Kentucky all at home.
You're still going to lose.
I mean, I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, if you needed to switch schedules, this is where I was going with that question. If you wanted to
you're
switch
saying it
schedules,
would be at Doak Campbell. Yeah,
it would be at Doak Campbell. So those are a little different. So again, Florida's schedule is awful if you look at it from how terrible of a team they are, right? But if Florida was anywhere near what they should be, that would have been a favorable schedule in the SEC because all their
they got the worst schedule in the SEC by a mile.
They do,
but the home part is good. They have some good home games, but Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State, that's a freaking nightmare.
I mean, that sucks.
What really sucks about it is how it's laid out too, because it's at the end of the year all in a row, and it's like,
when was the last time Florida has won a game in November? Let's look at that stat.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because it ain't going to happen in 2024 either.
Robert Fleischer says, what are the odds Napier survives? I don't think he makes it to the season. I'm thinking it's more and more likely he doesn't make it to the season, Robert. But that's just me. They need him. Like, all he's doing, in my opinion, is doing a favor for UF to coach Florida this season. Because he's a lame duck. I don't think there's a damn thing he do to win his team, to win his job. I don't. Like, it would have to be, like, if he hits some miracle, he does what I just said I thought Florida State would do against their schedule. Like, no. Like, he's doing them a favor. If I was him, I'd Chick Kelly my ass out of there so fast and go somewhere and be an analyst or an offensive coordinator, somebody where they need it. There's a lot of coaching changes. That's one thing about when you have all this mayhem and all these people going to the NFL, it gives the coaches that remain options. And, yeah, I just think it's one of those things. They kept him for whatever reason. It's just that end of the year. Ugh. You said it, me, not Mike. Not me, Mike. I didn't say it. But yeah, I would not mind that one bit. And that's to hear about this thing, and they're calling it short-term recruits, is what these recruiting services are coming and calling it. They signed a lot of good guys in this high school class, May 1st to May 15th. There's a chance some of those 2024 recruits could transfer right out of there that quick. There's already some that did it, now. Already since December 31st, people have gotten out of their NIL or been refused to get out of their NIL. They've entered the portal. We got some of them from Alabama that way. So I don't know. It's all the signs are there for Florida. The whole roster to just crumble. We'll see. We shall see what happens.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about before we get out of here?
You want to talk about the ACC reprimanding Louisville for criticizing officiating?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
$20,000. The Louisville women's basketball coach got reprimanded for criticizing officiating in the ACC. The ACC is honestly such a clown show. Their officiating is the worst in what we would call the Power Five, which, according to college
talking about basketball now, right?
Yeah. Well,
I thought they were pretty damn good. Now football's god awful, but
officiating
basketball
all the way around.
Is it just as bad over there?
Oh God, come on. Seriously, unless you're North Carolina, Duke.
Making all the calls.
Oh my God.
Imagine that.
Like, what? Do you not watch basketball? Because I'm just wondering. Okay. So yeah, I mean,
No, when they did away with
Louisville-
those crazy rules a couple years ago, when everything was a foul, it was absolutely ridiculous. Like in the Michael Snare days, it was terrible back then. But since they did away with that, to me, it's been a lot better. But yeah, this year I have not been locked in. So no, I haven't been paying attention this year.
Yeah, I just like, yeah, if you're not like Duke or North Carolina, nobody, the ACC doesn't give two shits about you at all. Especially in basketball. Football, Clemson gets all the calls in football. Everybody knows that. North Carolina gets a lot of calls in football. Wake, Duke, those things. But for basketball, Louisville is pretty new, and Louisville's a pretty good basketball school, right? I mean, they've been great these last couple of years, but the women's coach, they had some questionable calls, and she said something I thought was pretty mild. I mean, but they gave her a $20,000 fine.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a lot of money.
I would take the fine. I would put it on a t-shirt and I would wear it everywhere I went. I would sell them to the fans, and then I would make my money back.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show Louisville don't give a shit. They know their future is not in Florida State and ACC either. I love it.
I think Louisville.
I always love
Big
it when
12.
my coach speaks up.
Yeah, I think Louisville is Big 12 bound, and I think that works out well for them. I think it does. I think they've got some nice rivalries there. I wish Louisville and Memphis could get back in the same conference, because I love that. I love that rivalry. I was younger.
Yeah, we'll see. It would be nice if Louisville could get into one of the big ones. I've always been kind of like a sideways fan of Louisville. I've always kind of liked what they do.
Oh, I'm not a Louisville fan. I mean, I'm a Memphis fan, so we used to take out the keys and do the. Is that me?
Probably have some feedback. I look at the Big Ten, the only team I see problem is the Buckeyes. Those are two pretty tough games, but when you get in the Big Ten, it's going to be pretty rough to play every year, but you don't play every single team every year. You only have to do it every year.
I can't hear. I don't know. All this feedback came in on my headphones. I don't know if it was me or what.
You can't or you couldn't?
I can't.
Let me back up.
Yeah, I think it might be yours. Okay, it might be George. So what does everybody have planned for Valentine's Day? Anybody? Anything? It was me. It was George. Okay. I was wondering if it was me. Can you guys hear me? Can somebody say if you can hear me? Anybody can hear me? No? Yes, no, maybe?
What's that?
I was trying to see if anybody could hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay. All right, cool. Now they're coming in with yes. Maybe that
Your
was...
feed. Yeah, we've been able to hear you the whole time. What about the feedback? Is it gone?
It's gone, I think. Yeah. Oh my goodness, my ears were just going. I was like, oh my God, I thought it was me at first.
Oh, was it? Were they hearing that too?
Yes, they could. So it wasn't
noise in the system. Yeah. Good. I guess it was me. Sorry, guys. But again, that number is up there on the screen, 850-495-1906. We got about another 5 or 6 minutes unless this thing absolutely gets to going. So Get a call in if you have any questions about Florida State, any of the big three, you think where they line up, any of that good stuff. We are here to talk. ESPN signing a $7 billion deal with the college football playoff.
Of course.
Damn, I guess it was really bad.
Ooh, look at Bobby's Valentine's Day. Filet mignon, garlic butter, potatoes, wedge salads. Okay. Look at you.
There you go. Bobby is treating his ladies right.
Do you have a best Valentine's date, George?
No, we're not going to get into the best. I shared my Holocaust story. I'm not going to get touchy-feely. I'm not going to go into
I wasn't meaning touchy-feely. My best date, I went to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre for WWE with Stone Cold. Okay.
That's freaking awesome.
Stone Cold, like, he was the star. That was what I did Valentine's Day night.
What year are we talking?
1998, I think.
Holy shit. You're talking about the Attitude Era. That's freaking dope. Who brought you to that? Where's that guy? He must have been pretty cool.
No. But, you know.
we don't gotta go there.
Yeah,
but wrestling, dude, back in them days, like, wrestling was it. That was
man. Like, The Rock was there. Stone Cold was there. I mean, come on. Is it the Pyramid in Memphis? Like, let's go.
Well, guys, if nobody has any,
maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was 2000. I can't remember.
Well, any kind of time in that time period, it was that was the glory days of the WWF or WWE, whatever you want to call it. When it was Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane. I mean, they just, it's kind of like that 2013 FSU team. Every once in a while, like a bunch of people gather in one place. And it's weird how they recruited talent and everything that it worked out like that. This random guy who was a defensive end who happened to be, part of the family of wrestling, and Stone Cold with his whole get up. Like, he really, if you think about it, I'm not even getting into it. I'm not going to get into the
we're not going to get like
the nerdy the wrestling conversation, but no, back then it was the shit.
Stone Cold is the best from that era, and you're not going to change my mind on this. Don't come at me with the Rock stuff. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Stone Cold is it. When you hear the glass break, when you hear the song, when you do this, everybody knows what's happening. The Coors Light, like, come on, you know the deal. You know what's going to happen. Stone Cold is the best. And I get it. The Rock became a bigger star. I understand that. I get it, guys. I get it. And it's not the Miami hate either. It's just.
Yeah, man, that was the absolute time. But we got a caller right here. You're live on the Renegade Rundown. What you got for us?
Hey, little Jet out here. I just wanted I don't know if y'all talked about it on another show, but how y'all feel about the ESPN Fox merger, and not just how you feel about it, but how do you think it's going to affect the lawsuit situation? Because, ESPN really don't want to see this lawsuit, because it could be some stuff that leads from ESPN to Disney. And Disney definitely don't want to see it in Florida. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is a very good point, and we'll definitely talk about that, man. We appreciate the call, and appreciate you always being in there in the comment section and hanging out, brother. And we will we'll catch you next time.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Let me go first before I forget, and I'll go quick and let you take off. I would just say when it comes to all, you just go first. If you got something, go.
Well, I mean, I don't really have much. I think ESPN is going to have the ACC is going to throw themselves on the sword on this one. ESPN is not going to go down with the ACC on this. ESPN is going to throw the ACC under the bus. They're going to throw John Swofford under the bus. They're going to throw Raycom under the bus, because if they want possible deals to continue to go through without any sort of issues, that's what they're going to do. They're going to save face. And ESPN might actually become an ally with Florida State here soon. I would look out for that.
Yeah. So here's the thing: how all those studios and how Fox can parse off this part and let it merge with ESPN, but it's still not the same, and how they can form an alliance between them, and how they could have been just negotiating to all be part of this big pie, and all of a sudden it's all ESPN's out of nowhere. Yeah, believe me, I get it. I'm not sure. I'm not too up on how that merger went or anything like that, but I think what Jim said is what matters. The ACC is on their own in this shit. The ESPN, Fox, anybody anywhere down the line through merger or any kind of association, they don't want the headache. They are not going to let this shit get to Discovery and mess up what they have going on with the SEC and all these other schools. So it's all on the ACC. I feel like all ESPN cares about is that their secrets don't come out. If the ACC can do whatever they got to do to win it, that's fine. But if it gets to the point where it's going to endanger anything they have going on, they will cut ties, say we're not going to sign anything after 2027, and we'll file an injunction and try to get this closed, and we're not going to, whatever. Y'all just pay them off. That's how I see it.
And then we'll probably give information to help whoever is going after them in order to not make them look bad. Do you see what I'm saying? So in order for ESPN to not get pulled into any sort of lawsuit with some sort of discovery motion, if you might add, right? Could you see ESPN maybe giving away some information that might help a certain other party in this lawsuit to get it to be either dismissed or settled?
Yeah, well, but the issue is, I don't think so, because then Florida State would know where to push. I think it's just going to be they're going to muscle their leverage against the ACC to say, hey, you're not getting this Discovery, settle.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
Sure. I think that absolutely.
Yeah, I think the ACC is going to be having to get on their sword in order to get that grant of rights, thing continued to where they don't cut it off in 2027. Because I'm sure the ESPN's going, y'all keep trying to bring us into this, and we're going to cut this shit off. We're going to cut this shit off. So either leave us out, settle, do whatever you need to do, but stop it.
10-4. Well, this was a fun show. We appreciate you guys. We're so sorry about the sound issues, but we've done literally hundreds and hundreds of hours. Every once in a while things will mess up. I hate it because it's going to be there forever because of the way we do these things live, but we will make sure it doesn't happen again, and we sure appreciate you guys. And it's kind of tradition now. I guess we'll just go out with the Trub Life FSU versus everybody. If you guys want to find that, it's right here on YouTube. I'll throw a link in the description. We will see you guys when we see you guys again Friday right here at 7 Eastern on the Renegade Rundown. Go sign up at renegadereport.substack.com. Make sure you subscribe, join memberships, all that good stuff. We love y'all, and have a happy Valentine's Day, and we will see y'all Friday.
First off, fuck Bama in the road tide. Fuck Tuscaloosa in every city that's close by. Bitch ass hillbilly redneck fans. Auburn almost caught y'all slacking like dress pants. Michigan trash, they ain't got a damn chance. Only Wolverine I respect is X-Man. Keen ass coach got exposed, still in plays. Damn right I'm bitter, y'all sweeter than lemonade.